Powered by Red Media in partnership with TSN, Season 6 of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast, and it is presented by our title sponsor, Canadian Club Whiskey. New to their amazing invitation series is the Canadian Club Classic 18-year-old high proof, full-bodied whiskey. You got to taste it. It's wonderful. Aromas of caramel, you've got toffee, spicy vanilla, rich oak. There's a butterscotch finish. Invite your senses to an elevated Canadian whiskey experience with Canadian Club. And Ray, I normally know your hotel rooms, right? Like the Boston hotel room with the wallpaper. I know what city you're in. I can just tell. This one has me a little. I know where you're at. You're in Philadelphia, but this one looks a little different. It's unique. It's
different.
It's a sweet
different hotel, and I kind of like it. A little spacious, older hotel. So, the older rooms are a little different. They're not the little, little cubby holes that you get in some of the new hotels. So I like it. I like old hotels. I think they're kind of cool. So we're in Philly, got Washington today, part of the everybody playing night. And so they, in the studio, they wrap around all the games. They all start in 15-minute increments. And it was really well received last year. So they're doing it again.
Have you done a Philly game yet this year?
This will be my third.
The
season's 2 weeks old. It's like I'm the local broadcaster.
I think I knew that. What are your thoughts on Lutsenko? I mean, he's going to be a good young player. He is a good young player. But what are your thoughts? Just a little green, like to go back to the O and simmer a little bit?
I mean, that's my impression. Man, he is super fast. Like eye-catching how fast he goes. I think a little bit. Remember at the start of the year last year, before he got hurt, Matt Poitras made quite an impact in Boston early on, and then the game goes to that other level, and they're 18 years old, and they're not strong enough. They haven't had the ability to to grind a little bit, and it's hard to do. And when the players start playing for real, the young guys get left behind a little bit. The problem Philly has is their center ice position's pretty uninspiring.
Right.
And, so they could use another guy there. And, like Morgan Frost's off to a good good start. And this is a really important year for him here. They're almost kind of like in a, it's time to cut bait or extend here with Morgan. And, Couturier is just, he's gone through so much. He's not the player he once was. So you're all of a sudden you're starting to lose. That's where you lose depth in the middle, and where Lutsenko might be. Hey, maybe we should give him a chance right now. But I think his future is in the Ontario League this year. But he's a hell of a prospect, man. He can, like I'm telling you, he is. When they played in Edmonton the other night, he was the second fastest player on the ice.
And, we know who the fastest player is.
Yeah, it was. It's really something to watch.
All right, let's check out headlines. Ray, brought to us by Tim Hortons, celebrating the launch of their new spicy rosé flavored flatbread pizza. It's a spicy and creamy tomato sauce topped with slow-cooked chicken, shredded mozzarella, Monterey Jack, and of course the herb seasoning. Order any 2 flavors of flatbread pizzas for just $12 until November 17th. On Prime last night, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning absolutely owned the spotlight by design. The Leafs roll over Tampa Bay. This one was a bit weird, and I know you were traveling, so you didn't get to study it as closely as you normally would, but there are a number of little things that went into this game aside from, the outcome of the game, which was dominated by Toronto. Andre Vasilevskiy was pulled in the second period, which doesn't happen very often by John Cooper. But in our preamble with Ryan Rishaug and Chris Zimbunya, we were talking a little bit about the warm-up beforehand.
Right.
And there was a play where Andre Vasilevskiy just zips to the boards at center ice, right? He's going to finish his stretching, warming up. There's Morgan Riley, the Maple Leafs on one knee. He's stretching. And Vasilevskiy gives him the snow shower. And as I'm watching, and they replayed it in the broadcast, what I'm thinking of is, now Berube wouldn't have been on the bench at that point, but imagine this happening back in the day of the Philadelphia Flyers and Craig Berube and the mayhem that would have ensued. So I quickly sent him a text as we were talking here, and I said to Berube, I said, hey, I said, what would have you done in the day of Vasilevskiy had sprayed you and warm up on the red line the way he did Riley last night? He goes, I probably would have two-handed him with my stick and ran him over in the game.
Yeah. So the crazy part about that, like I've done, because Tampa has been so good, and they're a big player, in the playoffs. They go deep. So we've done a lot of their games. Vasilevskiy does that every game. He comes flying to center ice. He stops with his 1 foot, and there's a snow shower. Generally speaking, there's nobody standing there, I guess. Like I've never noticed it other than, that's how he comes out. So that would have been funny to see. And, knowing Morgan a little bit, he probably was like, what are you doing? Like in his head, like, what was that? Back in Berube's day, like that, he might have been in a full sprint going back the other way. So yeah, that the red line used to be sacred. Like if your puck went 1 foot over the red line, if I know for myself, I'd look at it. If there was nobody around, I'd grab it. But if there was somebody there, I'd just let it go, because you'd get your stick slashed out of your hand, or some guy that used to patrol the red line would run into you. You'd be like, what? So yeah, the red line was a no-go zone back a few years ago.
Well, and probably in certain buildings with certainty, right? Philly being one, Boston being another, Chicago being another.
Yeah, but you know what they do? It's so you'd end up with less pucks in warm-up at your end. So if you lost a couple, now you don't really have enough. And you're not going to go ask them for any. Like that. Like it was ridiculous. And then at some point they finally figured out, the home team should just supply all the pucks.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't matter where they go. And I don't know why it took years for that to be figured out, but it saved a lot of mayhem, that's for sure.
All right. Well, we're recording here Tuesday morning, and the Maple Leafs are about to play a back-to-back. They're in Columbus here Tuesday night. So going in, they've won 4 of their last 5. They've survived a couple of Craig Berube outbursts, right? Yep. One where he called the timeout in a 5-2 lead, I think, at the time, and just started giving it to his guys because they weren't adhering to the game plan. And then followed that up with, wake-up outburst in a morning skater practice after that. So have we seen enough in the small window of this NHL regular season to see the Toronto Maple Leafs playing the way that you expected they would play with Craig Berube as the head coach?
Well, I think what those examples you give are like why there's an expiry date for coaches with a team most often is that you've got to remember when Sheldon Keefe came in, he was so young and so new that anything that he would have been trying to project to the team he would be uncertain about, because he'd only coached with younger players in the American League and in junior. Berube comes in with this, he's already got an aura around him. Like there's nobody in the league that doesn't know what Chief's about. Yeah. And so now is the time where he's got to put the hammer down to show the players these are the guidelines, these are the guardrails to the way that we're going to play. So this is the perfect time for him. And the fact is that these guys, I mean, as much as we've wanted them, I think from the outside to go, you got to play a little different. They have to accept that it's time to play different too. Otherwise, you're just a guy yelling behind the bench. So I think you can see the idea of how they want to play is there, and players like playing for him. They do. Yeah. And one of the reasons is there's not a lot of speeches. There's not a lot of fancy buzzwords and things. It's really direct. It's really straightforward. And from Max Pacioretty to John Tavares to Austin Matthews to Marner to Connor Timmins, they all know pretty directly what is expected. And you could say, why doesn't every coach like that? Because it's not in every coach's way. Like you can't be what you're not. And this is just the way Chief is.
So let me ask you how important this is, because he has acknowledged, and again, we're talking about a relatively small size here of the regular season, but he's acknowledged that the way they're playing is the way his captain, Austin Matthews, wants to play the game. And so captain, head coach, align in philosophies. How crucial is that in having team success when you've got, like Connor McDavid, or in this case, Austin Matthews, a mega star, uber talented hockey player, wants to play that physical forechecking kind of grinding style?
Well, they want to win. And so if like the players want to win, and there's all a point for everybody where your points, your personal points become less of a focus because you want to win. And so you go through a little bit of heartache, you get kicked in the shins a few times, and you realize there's another way. Now, a lot of players could say, yeah, I'll play that other way, but their impact is not what these guys are to the room. Like, remember those, I don't know how many years ago it was when Nate McKinnon and Jared Bednar were screaming at each other on the bench.
Yeah.
Well, that was part of their road to get Nate to understand the way that Bednar wanted to play. And then Bednar had to understand the way Nate was too. And so if you're captain and leader, alpha male in the room, and your coach are aligned, it makes it really easy, because if the best guy is chipping a puck in at the red line because there's no play, everybody else is going to do it too. I mean, you can go back as far, in my memory of Detroit, when Steve Yzerman was putting up big points, like huge point years. And, Scotty Bowman got there, and they were like, we got to play different. If we're going to win, you have to play different. And when Steve changed, Steve changed his game. It's probably no coincidence that the Wings turned into a 4 Stanley Cup team.
Speaking of Detroit, Ray, let's shift gears to Nashville. We talked about Nashville on Friday in the last podcast, but they lose 5-2 to Detroit on Saturday this weekend. Steven Stamkos scores in that losing effort. Now, no team since 1995-96 has made the playoffs after losing their first 5 games consecutively. So it's alarming when you look at that, but I'm of the belief, whatever. That doesn't matter to me. I still look at Nashville, and I can't believe that they're this bad. Like, I still believe that whatever this chemistry experiment is going to be, Ryan O'Reilly talked about the little mistakes after that game and the things they're not doing well and all of that. I believe that Andrew Burnett's a good coach. Barry Trotz is a good manager. They've got a good collection of players. I don't know. Maybe, like, I did a podcast with Rhett Warner the other day, and he thinks that maybe they took too big of a swing in bringing in all the pieces that they did, and maybe they weren't quite there yet. Where are you on all of this? Is it just, again, too early in the season to throw this group under the bus?
Well, so that's a stat is alarming, right? As you mentioned, that nobody's made it at 0-5. I think the reason is, I'd like to know how many teams have been 0-5 to start. The second part to that is most teams that are 0-5 stink. There's a reason. When St. Louis won the Stanley Cup, being dead last at the New Year, the reason they're the only team that you could say at that time had done it is most teams that are dead last at December, the end of December, stink. They're terrible.
Yeah.
It's got to be quite a set of circumstances for a team to be that bad, but still be a good team, because that generally doesn't happen. I think Nashville's a better team for sure than this. I think they're going to be in a playoff mix. I didn't think in the offseason, given that they already had Philip Forsberg, that they needed 2 more right-handed forwards. That was my view. I think when we talked about it right after free agency, I said, "Wow, that power play is going to be crowded with everybody wanting to stand in the right place, in the same place." And I'm not saying that's why it hasn't worked. What I am saying is it's something that has to be worked out and figured out, and players have to accept a little bit different role, and that doesn't happen right away because nobody knows what the role is yet. You can go in, Andrew Brunette can go into the season and think, I'm going to play Stamkos here and Marchessault here and Forsberg here. And then you get there and it doesn't work. Now, so you got to change again. If you go through that lineup, though, I don't think Gus Nyquist has a point. I know he doesn't have a goal. He had a great year last year. O'Reilly doesn't have anything. Stamkos got his first. Marchessault batted one out of the air. He's got one. Like, they got a lot of guys that are good players that don't have anything yet. And if none of them have scored, you're probably in trouble.
Yeah. Staying patient. If you're Barry Trotz, there's nothing you can do. I mean, we're not talking about, again, what encouraged this conversation on Friday in Ray and Dregs was the notion of the hot seat, right? And I mean, as general manager, you've got to allow Bruno and this group to figure it out. You don't really have another choice, do you?
Well, no, you don't, but I would look at it this way. So last year, Brunette was one of the 3 finalists for Coach of the Year. You added Stamkos and Marchessault and Shea, right? You went through the summer, you had training camp, and you've played 5 games. He didn't go from a Coach of the Year finalist to a guy that doesn't know how to tie his shoes in that time. And so the other part of this too, as you say about figuring it out, is that there is no option because who's going to make a trade?
Nobody.
Like nobody. It's like no, and it's like it's like teams that are struggling in goal. They're like Pittsburgh struggling in goal. I read something. They're like, well, maybe they'd look at Ville Husso. What are they going to do that for? Detroit's not taking Tristan Jarry, right? Like you don't like. It's not make believe. It's you have an idea, sure, but at the end of the day, we all know it. The cap is going to decide what you do. Your team is built in the offseason, and then you got to make it work. And that Nashville's in a tough spot right now.
Let's wrap up headlines with, look, I'm resisting the OV watch. I am. And I'll celebrate when Alex Ovechkin goes by Wayne Gretzky in the goal scoring department. Why wouldn't you? Right. It'll be like, I mean, it's history. We're watching history unfold. I can appreciate it. So he scores in the Caps win on Saturday. Now he needs 41 more goals to pass Gretz. 99, Wayne Gretzky says it's inevitable. It's going to happen. Whether it's this year, it seems a bit of a stretch, maybe, Ray, or next. Yep. Expectation is that Alex Ovechkin will play at least another year. But when do we start getting excited? Is it at the 20-goal mark this year? 25 if he gets there? I mean, what did he score last year? 32?
31.
31? Yeah. I don't know. Like, is it inevitable for you that this is just going to happen, so I'm not going to get too amped up about it until we're inside 15 goals?
Yeah, well, for me, yeah, because I think it is inevitable. I mean, if he had to go out there with a walker, I think he's going to he's going to break the record. I don't think it'll be this year. I think he's going to have a handful short. 31 last year. He's got 1 so far this year. 40 goals is a lot.
It's a lot.
The guy's 40 years old. or whatever he is. Was he
39? Yeah, he turned 39 in September.
Yeah. So I think it's into next year, and I hope it gets to a point where Gretz is kind of, they're moving him around with wherever the Caps play.
Yeah, I think it would be. They will. Yeah.
Well, I think it would be awesome for him, because he's been such a great supporter of the game and supporter of excellence, and whether you like Ovi or some of the things that, are intertwined with his legacy. Man, he is, since the moment he came in the league, he has been, part of the very best part of the show. And I mean, I think he's going to break it. I just, I don't see it being this year, but he got 22 goals in the last half of last year. And that was a pretty great run. That would, so just think, this is why I don't think he's going to get there. He got 22 goals in the last 42 games last year. So he needs to do that this year twice. And I just don't think.
I'll ask.
Yeah, it's just too much, I think.
You remember doing the top 50 when you did the top 50 projection, right?
Hated it.
Yeah, and maybe I've shared this already, but it aligns with Ovechkin. For the last 4 or 5 years, I've just said, nah, I take too much grief for it because it's just not worth the exercise for me. I understand why fans like it, because it's all debatable. I can understand that. So I didn't do it. Anyway,
you didn't do the top 50?
I haven't done it for like 4 or 5 years. No.
Oh, no. Very much like your old mentor, Bob McKenzie.
Absolutely. You straddle that fence. Anyway, I was the recipient of an absolute rocket text when that thing was released from a member of the Washington Capitals organization who described the omission of one Alex Ovechkin from the projected top 50 as an embarrassment and disrespectful. And I didn't engage really because, hey, I mean, this person I have a lot of respect for and trust. I've known him for many, many, many years. That's his view and opinion. The only thing I corrected is it's not, of course, historically speaking.
No, it's this year.
It's this year. It's projecting what this year is going to look like in the top 50 in the National Hockey League. And I think I would agree with the consensus that OV, unfortunately, isn't likely going to be in that top 50.
No.
You think?
I don't think so. It's like there was a time when Wayne Gretzky would not have been in the top 50.
Yeah.
Of course, it was his last year, but like there is a time, and
anyway,
like I don't know. The fact, I hope your first response was, I had nothing to do with it, and here is the criteria.
Yeah, well, I don't know that because look, Ryan Rishaug is going to join us shortly for Ask Ray and Dregs Anything. I actually think he's one of the guys who contributes to this. So I didn't want to throw all my teammates under the bus, but I did identify what the criteria was.
Okay.
Those are your headlines. Thank you to Tim Hortons.
Tim's new spicy rosé chicken flatbread pizza, made with a spicy and creamy rosé sauce served hot out of the oven. It's always a good day for spicy rosé chicken flatbread pizza. And for a limited time, get 2 flatbread pizzas for only $12.
It's time for Tim's.
All right, Ask Ray and Dregs Anything. You can send us your questions on X and Instagram at Ray and Dregs, or on our website, rayanddregs.com. I'm pretty sure he's the longest serving and most decorated bureau chief at TSN.
Whoa.
Ryan Rishaug. No?
No. Farhan.
Whoa.
In fact, when I was
Hall
going
of
to
Fame.
BCIT, I was going to BCIT. I called up Mr. Farhan Lalji from TSN to see if I could interview him for a project I was working on in school.
Wow.
So no, bud. Farhan has that with a bullet.
Were you wearing that hoodie when you called him? That's quite a color. Must be early in Edmonton.
See, this is, I checked the label because I knew this was coming.
What color is that?
This is whoopee cushion. That's the color. This is whoopee cushion peach. And I wear it, but you know what, you guys got to be nice to me now. I've been coming on every week and you guys have been obliterating me. But you got to be nice to me because our title sponsor likes me now that I'm on the show with you. You know how I know that? Look who got the 18. Look who got the 18 sent to him.
Wow.
So the
Are you
title
drinking it in the
sponsor's
morning?
approved.
It looks like it's open.
Nah,
5
no, it
minutes
came
ago.
like that.
It came like that.
It came like that. Nah, it's way too early for that.
That's good. That's excellent. Well, at least somebody only had a little bit out of it before they shipped it to you. That's okay.
Oh man, that is one hell of a sipper. Had a hot tub and a few little pull. Man, oh man,
12
is
out
that
of
something.
10. That's what that
Oh.
is. 12 out of 10.
Lots of good action for Ask Ray and Dregs Anything this week. We'll get going with a couple, and then we'll do a little rapid fire because I know you guys love that. This one comes to us on Twitter from a handle named Jets Centric. He asks, are the Jets a paper tiger? Which then caused me to run to the internet and Google paper tiger. And the definition is someone who at first glance seems to be in charge, but who on closer examination is completely powerless. So are the Jets a paper tiger? Has this start changed your opinion of them, or is it too early, and where did they finish, Ray?
I don't think they're a paper tiger because I would find it hard to believe they're going to get to the playoffs and fall apart like they did last year. Like I have a hard time believing that. I mean, you look at their lineup, and Dregs and I have talked about it on here before, and you go, man, I don't know if they can get around that second center spot, but that's a long ways away. Right now, they look like they could run over anybody. I think this is a really good team. I think I underestimated them coming into the season with some of their losses, and I don't know about you, Dregs, but I mean, this is certainly in my mind is a playoff team in a really tough division. But I don't think they're going to fade away like they did last year.
No, I would agree with that. And Ryan, I'll give you a little bit of love because last time we talked about the Jets, you identified that third line with Lowry and Appleton and Niederreiter. I mean, that's up there with the best in hockey, just period. And they continue to roll there. How about the other night? How ruthless was it? The afternoon game, actually, Pittsburgh and Winnipeg. And the fans in Winnipeg start chanting, "Where's Rutger?" Where is Rutger McGroarty? So I text somebody from management after the game, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, we love that 300 level." So the fans in the 300 was ruthless. So now there's a lot of buy-in there. That's a good group, and Scotty O'Neill looks like he has their attention. So they're going to be a playoff team.
The 300 level in Winnipeg. I have a feeling that's where this question came from. Jets Centric is up there in the 300 level.
Yeah.
This one from Colin Barrett. Bit of a different question. Says, hey, guys, is there anything in place to stop an organization from paying a player something additional on a contract, but off the books so that the cap hit is not affected? For example, money outside the contract or the promise of a future role in the organization. It would be a greasy move, but I am curious how that is policed. Enjoy listening to the show every week. Thanks, Colin. Obviously, it's police, gentlemen, and not allowed and frowned upon, Dregs, but fair question. There's some shady dealings here and there on the side.
And it happens all the time, right? And it happens in major markets like Toronto, where these players, kind of just mysteriously disappear, historically have, and then they end up working with the organization in the past. And there's still one or two. I think Jake Muzzin is still with the Maple Leafs. We go down the list, but that's not a side deal, right? I mean, those players end up getting hurt and can't return to play, and they play under insured and guaranteed contracts, and they're good people. So ultimately they morph. What I would wonder, Ray, though, is, and again, you're talking about your major centers here, but you've got that contract, especially for a free agent. You can only pay that player so much in term and in money, but all of a sudden you tell the agent, but there's 2 or 3 major sponsors right here that can juice that thing up another 500 or $1 million a year. I mean, that's not on paper.
Well, if somebody can get a car deal or somebody can get a advertising deal for, I don't know, whatever type of company, and
Stu Skinner's got California closets going.
Well, if they want to pay him, that's got nothing to do with the team.
No,
right?
No.
So back in the day, like we were pumped if we could get like a clothing deal. We'd be like, oh yeah, like somebody's going to buy, going to give you a couple of suits, and you'd be like, yeah, that. I think you're talking about something more significant than this. But that would be if the league got wind of the team being involved in that little circle, that's a mucho fine. For sure.
It's not good. Yeah.
That wouldn't work.
All right, let's push through into a little bit of rapid fire. And by the way, people are kind of understanding as they're sending us stuff. We're actually getting some questions in for us to throw into the rapid fire section. So we appreciate those. It is Ask Ray and Dregs Anything. So there's one mixed in there. Okay. We will start in Boston, guys. Jim Montgomery, give Brad Marchand just a little nudge and a little earful there on the bench. That's a playful little nudge there. Ray, I don't know. What did you make of that combination of the very clear earful and the little nudge on the shoulder there? What did you think?
Well, the nudge came at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm suspecting that there might have been something that was returned in the volley from coach to player, and then player kind of ping-ponged something back. About him giving him an earful, though, you got to know your audience, and I think he's probably pretty confident that Marchand can take a little bark.
Yeah,
but I would be almost certain though there was a return volley there.
No question, and we've seen it before. It's not the first time it's happened between those two guys, but I mean, I'm keeping an eye on the Boston Bruins here. There's a sense of angst around that team, and mostly it's coming from the head coach, right? And Brad Marchand had 3 surgeries in the offseason. He very much knows his age. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt, and maybe he'll find that gear. David Pastrnak looks like David Pastrnak 6-8 games into the regular season, but that's going to change. There's a lot of anger around that group right now, so Boston's a must-watch for me.
3-2-1, giving up 20 goals here in 6 games. This was rapid fire, so you're both getting a scolding for going too long there. Evgeny Malkin, 38 years old, 2-9-11 in 7 games played to start the season. He's on a 128-point pace, Ray. 67 last year. How many do you think he ends up getting this year?
89. You want it quick. There you go, 89.
That was boom. Okay, Dregs?
No, I'll give him. I'm going to go. I'll give him 100 points. I'll give him 100 points.
Really?
For whatever reason. But then you remember back what I know this is going to be
rapid fire.
I know. But it was like a Stanley Cup run, and it's a famous quote from Gino where he was like, "Gino tired, I tired." So he's going to be tired at the end of 100 points.
Toronto Maple Leafs, 3.18 goals against per game last year, 21st in the league. This year, guys, 2.17. They've shaved an entire goal. They are 5th right now on average. Can this be a strength in their game this season, Ray? Will it have turned that much that we talk about their defense as a strength?
Defense and goaltending, and overall team play. I think I do think we sometimes go, the goals against are on the goalie or just on the defense, but I think in this case, maybe a little bit like Edmonton last year, the team had to decide to play a certain style. I do think it'll be a hell of a lot better than last year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, they're playing hard. Everything's clicking on that forecheck. We talked about it in the headlines. They're playing the way Austin Matthews and the coach, most importantly, want them to play.
Guys, here is Rodney Dangerfield.
That's the story of my life. No respect. I don't get no respect at all.
Earlier this week, Jason Strudwick tried his hand at a Rodney Dangerfield impersonation. Please rate this between 1 and 10.
Yeah, I get no respect.
What was that?
Like
that was
the imitation? Did he choke on something?
Did he consume a gummy like 30 minutes before that? Like,
here, wait, that? One more time. Here it is.
Yeah, I get no respect.
Between 1 and 10, Ray, go.
3.
0.
No, that's a 0. You got to give him points for the attempt in public.
All right, half a point.
Yeah, get no respect.
That's what Struds would be saying right now. Okay, here's our write-in.
What was yours?
My rating?
Yeah.
I'm his co-host. I got to have his back a little bit. I'll give him a 6. I thought there was
no
I thought
courage.
the first few
No
words were
courage for
good.
bubblegum guy there. What is it? Bubblegum? No. Fart cushion. That's what it is.
What? I didn't think it was that. Okay, right back to back. Here they are back to back.
That's the story of my life. No respect. I don't get no respect at all. Yeah, get no respect.
It's not horrendous. There are definitely some smatterings of Rodney Dangerfield in that impersonation. I'm going 6. Okay, this is the write-in from Chad in Drumheller. Random question, Chad. We appreciate it. He wants to know, can you iron clothes? Is it something that you regularly do? And Ray, do you iron your clothes on the road?
I can iron. I sometimes when I'm in a rush, I end up with more creases in the shirt than when I started. I iron. Absolutely. I'm pretty good at it, I think.
Yeah, I feel like it's the height of laziness for you to send your suits out to get pressed, and lots of guys do in our business.
You iron your suits?
No, some people, yeah, like some of our TSN people will actually get to the hotel, and if they have enough time, they'll leave their suit at the front desk for it to be pressed.
James Duthie.
Not this guy. No.
Okay, I will take myself out of the running here to make this make you think about this one a little bit. Ray, who is the funniest person you personally know?
You took yourself out of the running.
I want to make you think, because I know it'd be automatic.
Oh man, I wish I would have had a little funniest person.
Teammate or something back in the day, or
Andrew Brunette is hilarious.
Which nobody would guess, right? Like nobody would
laughing
know
a lot these days.
Yeah, he's probably not telling a lot of jokes right now.
Taking things with a good sense of humor, is he?
Actually, no, probably not. Derek King, assistant coach with the Blackhawks. I'll give you one example of Derek King. I'm going to say is maybe the funniest guy because it's so deadpan. They were in a city a couple of years ago, and there's a guy waiting in the lobby. One of the players, he's going out for dinner, and Kinger was going for a walk. And he said, "Oh, is this your hometown, or it's your hometown?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm meeting someone for dinner." He goes, "Oh, you family?" He goes, "No, my skills coach." And Kinger, as he's walking by, says, "You should fire him," and keeps on going. Like, what a great line!
It's a good chirp.
So,
Dregs?
yeah, so I'm going to put those two up there.
Okay, well, I've got 2 as well. I think, Ray, you'd agree with me. John Garrett and his self-deprecating humor. Cheech is a funny dude. He is a funny man. And the other guy, Jeff O'Neill. But it's mostly because of the full package, right? The O-Dog, and the mannerisms. Like, he can make this silly face that just cracks me up on any panel we do. So those 2 guys for me.
All right, final question for Ask Ray and Dregs Anything. The Oilers' power play currently 1 for 15, 6.6%. After the game the other night, Chris Knobloch said might be getting to the point where it's time to make some changes. And Chris Knobloch at practice yesterday said, well, I talked to Glenn Gulletson, and he says every year there's talk about making changes. So we're going to be patient. They're going to keep the same 5 guys. 6.6% though, Ray. How bad would that have to get before you would consider changing any of those 5 core personnel out there? That is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Zach Hyman, Evan Bouchard, McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl. Right decision to stand pat for now?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a percentage, like 0, maybe. Like what do you? I guess you could drop Skinner in instead of Nugent Hopkins. Would be your one option. I mean,
you could go Perry in for Hyman if you wanted.
No, you couldn't.
Just saying. Knows the net front. I'm not saying they should.
But what did he have? 27 power play goals last year.
Yeah.
Or so, so like, I get it, but I think what I would be working on is much the same as what we talked about in Toronto. It's like, it's nice to have all this movement. Why don't we just start moving the puck really fast and shooting it, retrieving it and getting it back, and then starting to move? To me, when I watch them, they're just a little plodding. They're a little bit. They lack the aggressiveness with the puck that they normally have. That to me would be my focus.
Okay, how about this for stirring the pot, devil's advocate? So if Gulletson isn't interested in changing the power play, maybe the head coach is interested in changing the power play coach.
What?
And then you watch the fur fly when McDavid and Draisaitl don't have Gully in their corner anymore. Then we'll watch the fur fly. It's not going to happen.
Look, what was that?
I know. Boom. Dregs off the top rope.
I'm not saying it should happen. It's just we've seen it.
Well,
happen.
so you're saying then Paul Coffey would coach the power play?
Nah.
No, you just did.
That's a change.
How about this? How about this as a compromise? How about $120 if nothing's going on? Come off, get the second unit out there.
Yeah.
Cut the time back a little, Ray.
Perfect.
Maybe a little sense of urgency goes up.
They're somewhere along the line. Instead of one guy staying out for 2 minutes, 4 guys do. I would totally agree with that.
Yeah,
because
that makes sense.
You just can't. You can't move as well. You used urgency. You can't move as urgently as at a minute 40 as you do at a minute. You just don't. It's lethargic. It's slow. It's just not the way it should look. And I believe they can fix that. I mean, with those 5 guys.
Now, it was Ask Ray and Dregs anything, and I have to say, great response from people sending in their questions. You can do it on the website, and we want all sorts of questions. Hockey questions, life questions, whatever you got for us, but great contributions this week. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, don't be scared. Evaluate Ryan's hoodie if you want. Next week,
I don't know if
Randine
it's
will
the
be
lighting
wearing
in
it.
here. This is a good hoodie. This is I get compliments
Can
on
I
this
ask
hoodie.
you a question? Because
No.
Cammy does wear my hoodies. Does Randine wear that hoodie?
She was the first one that said love the color, yes, but she's
there you
generally
go.
complimentary.
Yes, she is. She's very. I don't know. But
it's got like a.
But so you
bloody
could say when I
hue
wear,
to it. Like,
Cammy does wear my hoodie, so I'm like, it's the way it goes. But I just thought maybe she would wear that one.
Guys, sponsors like me. You're not running me off this show no matter how hard you try. Sponsors like me.
You just you're signing off now, so get to work. Let's go. Chop chop.
Bye. Yeah, bye.
I feel like we need to condense this segment a little bit, Ray. That just felt like, I don't know. I hope it's entertaining. Let's get the feedback from our people. Hey, let's get the feedback. Is Ask
more
Ray and Dregs
or
anything?
less Ryan?
Yeah,
more or less Ryan is really what you're asking.
That's exactly what I'm at. And so I don't radio myself. I was not suggesting that Chris Knobloch should ditch Gully.
We're promoting that for sure.
I know you are.
Twitter
That's
promo.
why I'm on record clarifying. I'm just saying if
that will not make the promo.
If we're talking about change, let's talk about change.
You know what to do, Zuby. You know what to do.
All right, buddy, we got to wrap this thing. Beyond today, which has you in Philadelphia, what's the rest of the week look like?
Back home tomorrow, and then Sunday I fly to Tampa for Nashville at Tampa. So looking forward to that. How about you? What do you got?
Yeah, you know what? We're jammed up this week, but I kind of like it. I mean, I don't like when we have insider trading on the same night as Leafs regional games, which is happening twice this week. Tonight being Tuesday and Thursday, just because you chase your tail all day, right? Like, right. I don't make sure I do my game prep and all that stuff. And oh, by the way, you got to come up with 2 ideas to take people behind the curtain in the National Hockey League insider trading. Well, anyway, that's what I got, so it's all good. It's all good. All right.
Yeah, well, we're cleaning up after a hell of a rainstorm in Vancouver, and hope everybody's good. Some people got into a bad spot, so I hope everybody's okay out at home.
All right, buddy. We'll check in with you later this week.
Later on. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And thank you to our sponsors who continue to support Ray and Dregs and make the podcast possible. Our title sponsor, Canadian Club Whiskey, and Tim Hortons. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks for listening.